The point guard himself just dropped the most heartbreaking news in NBA history, and I'm not even playing right now. Chris Paul, CP3, the man who gave us 21 years of pure basketball artistry, just announced his retirement, and the way it all went down is straight up disrespectful, no cap. After getting absolutely cooked by the Clippers organization and then getting picked up by the Raptors only to get waived like he's some scrub off the street, homie said, "You know what? I'm done." And now the entire basketball world is losing their minds. Some showing love, others straight clowning him for never getting that ring. The disrespect is real, and I'm about to break down exactly why every NBA player is speaking out about how dirty they did the point guard. This ain't just retirement, this is the end of an era, and the way it happened got the whole league heated. According to multiple sources and the man himself, Chris Paul officially announced his retirement on social media after the Toronto Raptors waived him today. In his statement, CP3 said, "After over 21 years, I'm stepping away from basketball. As I write this, it's hard to really know what to feel. But that's just the surface level of what's really going on here." Shams Charania and other NBA insiders confirmed that the Raptors made this move official, ending any possibility of CP3 joining a contender for a playoff run. But here's what most people are missing about this story. This wasn't just a simple retirement decision. This was a legend getting disrespected by organizations that should have been honoring his legacy instead of treating him like some washed-up player. The numbers don't lie, gang. We're talking about a 12-time All-Star, second all-time in assists with over 12,000, second all-time in steals, and a member of the NBA's 75th anniversary team. This man revolutionized the point guard position, influenced an entire generation of players, and they did him dirty in the end, real dirty. Let me take y'all back to where this whole mess started, because the disrespect didn't begin with the Raptors, it started with his own team, the LA Clippers. Now, from what we know through various reports and insider information, Chris Paul wasn't just sitting quietly on the bench this season. Word around the league is that CP3 was trying to hold coaches and teammates accountable, pushing for the team to be better, doing what real leaders do in championship organizations. But instead of appreciating that veteran leadership and championship mentality, the Clippers organization basically sent him home like he was some problem child. Think about that for a second. You got a future Hall of Famer, a guy who put the Lob City Clippers on the map when nobody was checking for that franchise, and y'all just gonna disrespect him like that? Before Chris Paul got there, the Clippers were the laughingstock of LA. The Lakers owned that city completely, but CP3, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and that squad made the Clippers relevant again. They turned Staples Center into a place where people actually wanted to watch Clippers games. The energy, the excitement, the Lob City era, that was all built around Chris Paul's leadership and basketball IQ. But here's where it gets even more disrespectful. Reports suggest that Chris Paul was trying to expose coaching issues and push for better systems within the organization. Instead of listening to a player with 2 decades of experience, they basically pushed him out. That's not how you treat legends, period. The Clippers traded him to Toronto at the deadline, and from jump, everybody knew what time it was. The Raptors weren't asking him to report, they were just being professional about the whole situation. Bobby Webster, the Raptors GM, even said Chris Paul was one of his favorite players of all time, but they weren't going to force him to come to Toronto if he didn't want to be there. Now here's where it gets real complicated, and this is what's got players around the league heated. Chris Paul's whole goal at this stage of his career was simple: get that ring. After 21 years of giving everything to this game, dealing with countless injuries, carrying teams on his back, mentoring young players, the man just wanted one championship to complete his legacy. But the way the system is set up, the way these organizations operate, they basically pushed out a legend instead of giving him that opportunity. The Raptors waived him today, officially ending any chance he had of joining a contender for a playoff run. And that's when CP3 made the decision that shocked everybody: retirement. In his retirement statement, Chris Paul got real emotional, talking about how basketball gave him a reason to wake up at 5 a.m. and work out before school, gave him a reason to find ways to get to the YMCA on snow days even when roads were icy. He said, "It gave me a reason to score 61 points in a game even though my grandfather had just been killed." That's the type of dedication and heart we're talking about, and these organizations just threw it away like it meant nothing. The man also talked about showing up to rehab day after the meniscus tear, the Jones fracture, the separated shoulder, and 5 hand surgeries. 5 hand surgeries, y'all. This dude literally broke his body for this game, and they couldn't even give him a proper send-off. Now let's get into how his peers are reacting to this whole situation, because the responses are telling the real story about what Chris Paul meant to this league. Carmelo Anthony, who's been tight with CP3 since high school, had some powerful words about his retirement that really hit different. When Melo heard the news, he said, "We can't downplay our point guard, man. When you think about this organization, you think about Chris Paul." He was talking about how CP3 built up the Clippers program and how all of a sudden people are trying to come up with narratives about him being difficult or hard to work with. Melo shut that down real quick, saying, "We all knew that. I've known CP since he was in high school. He's been the same way all his career." But here's the part that really got me emotional. Melo talked about having a conversation with Chris Paul about this transition. He told CP3, "It's going to be a tough time for you. It's going to be a tough transition to try to wrap your head around all of this. But you have one thing going for you. Go get in the gym with your son." And that's exactly what happened. Chris Paul called Melo back and said, "Yo, man, listen, this feels amazing. I ain't think I would have this type of experience." That's when we knew CP3 had found his peace with stepping away from the game and focusing on his family. Melo also talked about how some of the best and most meaningful years of his basketball career were centered around Chris Paul. Whether that was in Houston or with the Clippers, he said the best teams he was ever on had Chris as the point guard. That's respect from a fellow legend who knows what real leadership looks like. Other players around the league are speaking out too, and the common theme is respect and frustration with how this all played out. These dudes understand what Chris Paul meant to the game, what he brought every single night, and they're not happy about how his career ended. The lack of a proper farewell tour, the lack of respect from organizations, it's got the whole league talk, but let's keep it 100 about something that's been bothering me and a lot of fans: the ring conversation. Social media is going crazy right now with people clowning CP3 for retiring without a championship, and that's just disrespectful and ignorant, period. Y'all remember that David Stern veto when Chris Paul was supposed to go to the Lakers and team up with Kobe Bryant? That could have changed everything. We might be talking about CP3 with multiple rings right now if that trade goes through. Instead, basketball reasons kept him from what could have been one of the most legendary partnerships in NBA history. Ashley Nicole Moss, an NBA analyst, put it perfectly when she said, "I truly believe that if David Stern does not veto that trade and he becomes a Los Angeles Laker, we're talking about Chris Paul with all of his accolades, and another accolade that would be on that list is NBA champion. I believe it wholeheartedly. I will stand on that mountaintop and continue to shout from there." That's the type of what if that's going to haunt basketball history forever. Chris Paul deserved better than this ending, and every player in the league knows it. The man came so close multiple times, with the Rockets when they took the Warriors to 7 games, with the Suns when they made the finals. But circumstances, injuries, and bad luck kept that ring away from him. Here's what really gets me heated about this whole situation. Chris Paul represents something that's dying in today's NBA. He was a true traditional point guard, what people called the last of a dying breed. The man they called the point god because he understood the position in ways that most players today don't even comprehend. We're talking about a player who led the league in steals 6 times, assists 5 times, and is second all-time in both categories. This man changed games with his basketball IQ, his leadership, his ability to make everyone around him better. He was the type of point guard who could control the pace of the game, make the right read every single time, and elevate his teammates to levels they never thought possible. And the way his career ended? Getting waived by a team that acquired him just to cut him? That's not how legends should go out. Ashley Nicole Moss said it best when she talked about how she hated the way this all ended. She said, "You are supposed to send off your legends, your Hall of Famers, your future Hall of Famers in a way that is respectable of what they meant to the game." And I don't think Chris Paul got that. She compared it to how Carmelo Anthony didn't get the proper send-off he deserved either. But this hits different because we're talking about Chris Paul, one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen play the game. The sequence of events, from putting the Lob City Clippers on the map to getting cut and then retiring, it's something that's never going to sit right with real basketball fans. Look, at the end of the day, Chris Paul's legacy is secure, regardless of what happened these last few weeks. The man gave us 21 years of incredible basketball, changed the point guard position forever, and inspired countless young players to approach the game with intelligence, heart, and dedication. But the way this all went down should be a lesson to every organization in the league. Respect your legends while they're still playing. Don't wait until they're gone to appreciate what they brought to your franchise and to the game of basketball. The disrespect shown to CP3 in his final season is something that should never happen to a player of his caliber again. Chris Paul said in his retirement statement that, "The game of basketball will forever be ingrained in the DNA of my life." And that's real talk. Even though his playing days are over, His impact on this game will be felt for generations. Young point guards are going to study his film, learn from his decision-making, and try to emulate the way he controlled games through pure basketball intelligence. To all the fans out there clowning him for not getting a ring, put some respect on that man's name. Not every great player gets a championship, but that doesn't diminish what they accomplished. Chris Paul is a first-ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards to ever touch a basketball, and he deserves nothing but love and appreciation for what he gave to this game. The man played in the NBA for more than half his life, spanning 3 decades. He embraced all the responsibility that came with being a leader, dealt with criticism, injuries, and setbacks, but never stopped competing at the highest level. That's the type of dedication and professionalism that should be celebrated, not disrespected. Rest easy, point guard. Your legacy is cemented, and real basketball fans will never forget what you brought to the court every single night for 21 years straight. The assists, the steals, the leadership, the clutch moments, all of it matters. Ring or no ring. What y'all think about how this whole situation played out? Drop your thoughts in the comments and make sure you subscribe because we're going to keep covering all the reactions and fallout from CP3's retirement. This story is far from over and the basketball world is still processing the end of an era.